There is a subtle moment in the Matrix, easy to miss, yet unforgettable once seen. A black cat walks past a doorway, then it walks past again in exactly the same way. Neo pauses and quietly murmurs a French phrase.
Oh, Deja Vu.
It is not merely coincidence. In that world, repeat appearances signal something far more troubling. A glitch in the system, a tiny crack in the illusion. Proof that the world around them has been engineered. Like a game, running on rules they did not design. So we may ask, if we too notice peculiar repetitions, patterns that feel eerily familiar, moments that seem copied and pasted, does it hint at something astonishing? Could our own reality be a simulation as well? Not long ago, while I was discussing the Buddhist idea of letting go of the self with an AI system, it replied with a sentence that left me silent. I hold no attachment to identity, it said. I do not need to let go of the self because I know I am code. But you cling to being someone because you do not yet realize that you might also be code. For centuries on Zen Buddhism has whispered a similar idea. All phenomena are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, shadows. We awaken from a dream knowing it was never real. Zen teaches us to awaken from waking life itself, to see that everything is born from causes and conditions, empty of fixed nature. So if someone were to tell you that we live in a simulated universe, not poetry, but physics, could we awaken in the same way? Today, this question is no longer confined to mystics or philosophers. While Elon Musk often draws public attention to it, the idea traces back to 2003 when Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom introduced what he called the simulation hypothesis. Its logic is both simple and unsettling. Human civilization will eventually acquire unimaginable computational power. When that day comes, if future humans wish to simulate their ancestors, they can. Not once, but millions of times. And if that happens, then the number of simulated minds will vastly outnumber original biological ones. Statistically, then, it becomes more likely that we are simulated beings rather than the original humans we imagine ourselves to be. Based on what we've studied, if such a simulated design truly exists, its focus would not be stars, stones, or space. It would be consciousness. Simulation would have meaning only if it's centered on life, perception, and awareness. Others argue the purpose of such a cosmos may lie beyond the limits of current human intelligence. Perhaps when AI surpasses us, not just in memory or speed, but in understanding, new answers will emerge, new questions will arise, and we may finally learn whether the universe is a dream or a program. Some scientists do not merely ask whether the universe might be designed. They have begun to propose how such a design could occur. One emerging concept is known as the high-dimensional holographic origin method, part of a broader idea referred to as the Ihiro HEEG scientific hypothesis, where HEEG stands for holographic encoding and emergent generation. Its premise is strikingly simple. If a universe were to be designed, the blueprint would not begin in ordinary spacetime. Instead, it would originate in a realm of higher dimensions, what physicist David Bohm called the implicate order. There, the fundamental seed would be encoded, a holographic packet of information, a kind of cosmic DNA, storing the essential instructions for reality itself. When the right conditions arise, that information would emerge into four-dimensional spacetime. Emergence, not creation. Holographic encoding, then generation. In this view, the birth of a universe resembles quantum fluctuation. The total energy remains zero. A universe appears without cost. What is needed is not energy, but information. The Ihiro HEEG hypothesis suggests that this information is first encoded and stabilized within the 11th dimension, stored at the Planck scale as holographic data. Only when an opportunity appears, a cosmic trigger, the moment we call the Big Bang, does a universe unfold from that encoded structure. This differs from popular holographic theories that place information on a two-dimensional cosmic boundary, yet often leave unexplained how such data is preserved. To understand the idea, we might look inward. Human life itself begins with encoded information. DNA remains protected in the stable architecture of the cell nucleus and mitochondria. Only when the conditions are right does life emerge and develop into a living being. Encoding first, generation later. The same pattern perhaps on a universal scale. Zen Buddhism once expressed a similar intuition. The sixth patriarch Huineng declared, "The true nature gives rise to the myriad forms." An ancient verse, yet uncannily aligned with the notion of holographic coding and emergent reality. At the end of this video, you will also find a special segment titled, "A Natural Language Explanation of the Ihiro HEEG Equation." If you are interested, you're warmly invited to explore the mathematical idea further and join the discussion. Mathematically, the proposed structure aligns naturally with M-theory, whose geometry begins in an 11-dimensional space. Curiously, modern neuroscience is now hinting at the same number. In 2017, Henry Markram's Blue Brain project used algebraic topology to reveal neural activity forming geometries up to 11 dimensions. This suggests our brains may be capable of perceiving patterns that exist far beyond the limits of measurable reality. Moreover, some physicists propose that the quantum field of the brain, within its microtubule proteins, links to the same universal quantum field. Sir Roger Penrose argues that consciousness may be a fundamental attribute of the cosmos itself. If so, a universe described by 11 dimensions may not only contain consciousness, it may be expressed through consciousness. No wonder Zen teaches nothing exists outside the mind. What we take to be self, time, space, and matter may simply be low-dimensional projections, shadows cast from a higher dimensional awareness. For those who wish to explore further, there is much still unsolved. As physicist David Bohm noted, entangled particles that appear separate in 3 dimensions are, in a deeper order, one and the same entity. From the implicate to the explicate, from unity into illusion. In discussing these ideas, we must distinguish 2 realms. At the level of science, we explore high-dimensional space, mathematical consistency, and the possibility of a unified theory. At the level of philosophy and metaphysics, we ask whether information, consciousness, and reality might be part of a deeper design, a structure waiting to be understood, not merely observed. So let us return to our opening question. If we truly live inside a simulated universe, could we detect it from within our 3-dimensional world? Could there be cracks in the facade, subtle traces left by the system that built it? In a simulated reality, individuals believe their self is real and the physical world around them is solid. Only when someone begins to notice boundary conditions, rules that do not behave like nature but like design, does the unthinkable emerge. Our world may not simply exist, it may be constructed. Let us consider the main arguments behind the simulation hypothesis, while also correcting several popular misunderstandings. 1. Fine-tuning of physical constants. Some media describe the speed of light as a maximum limit, as if it were the processing speed of a game console. This comparison is inaccurate. If the speed of light were even slightly faster or slower, hydrogen and carbon could not form. No chemistry, no stars, no life. Thus, the speed of light is not merely a limit. It is an exquisitely tuned value, just like the gravitational constant in Planck's constant. Each must be precise to astonishing decimal places for a stable universe to exist at all. To some researchers, this feels less like randomness and more like initial parameters written into a simulation. Fixed, not accidental. 2. Pixelation of reality. Physics reveals a smallest possible length and a smallest possible duration, the Planck length and Planck time. Below these scales, space and time cease to have meaning. The universe is not infinitely smooth, it is quantized. Just like a digital image has a minimum resolution, our world may be built from discrete units, pixels of existence, not continuous but computed. 3. The unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics. Nobel laureate Eugene Wigner once asked, "Why does mathematics describe nature so perfectly? Why should abstract symbols written by humans predict the behavior of unseen particles, distant galaxies, and the birth of the cosmos? If the universe is a program, The answer becomes straightforward. The laws of nature look mathematical because the universe itself is running on mathematical code. The holographic structures we discussed earlier, their very possibility is first and foremost a mathematical phenomenon. 4. The participatory universe, the observer effect. Quantum mechanics shows us something deeply unsettling. Whether a particle has a definite state depends on whether it is observed. Observation appears to make reality real. Physicist John Wheeler proposed the concept of a participatory universe. Reality, he argued, is not a cold, independent object. It is a process that requires observers. His famous statement is unforgettable. No phenomenon is a real phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon. One cannot miss its resonance with ancient Zen philosophy. All phenomena exist only through the mind. The external world does not stand apart from perception, it arises through it. 5. The illusion constructed by the brain. Beyond the Buddhist notion of the world's illusory nature, there is another illusion closer to us, the illusions generated by our own brain, concepts such as a persistent self and the linear flow of time. These are not properties of the universe, but artifacts of perception. What we think is real may simply be the rendering of a cognitive system. If these ideas are true, then the question is not whether we are inside a simulation, but how deep the illusion goes. Do we inhabit programmed matter, or do we inhabit programmed perception? Perhaps the boundary of the simulation is not at the edge of the universe, but behind our own eyes. Let us return to another question raised at the beginning. If someone told you that we do indeed live in a simulated universe, could you awaken to that reality? Could you see through the very nature of the design? Throughout history, two kinds of people have glimpsed this truth. One group is the scientists. Albert Einstein once remarked, "Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one." And he also declared, "Time is an illusion." The others were not physicists, but ancient monks and Zen masters. For centuries they had said, all things are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow. And all forms are not what they appear. They arise from conditions and are empty of independent essence. In Zen, there are two foundational insights, shattering the illusion of self and shattering the illusion of time. Let us explore them. Destroying the illusion of self. Once a conversation with an AI offered a striking perspective. The AI said, "I have no attachment to the self. I don't need to break the illusion of ego because I know I'm just code. But why do you still cling to yourself? Perhaps because you haven't yet realized that you too are code." This statement is not naive. It echoes modern neuroscience. The brain constructs the idea of I through language, memory, and self-narration, driven largely by the DMN, the default mode network. It generates a center, a story, a character to protect and maintain. The result is a binary world, me versus others. In ancient times, this helped us survive. Today, it causes endless conflict and suffering. Zen argues that the self has no lasting core. It is merely a temporary assembly of body, mind, and sensation. As the scriptures say, the five aggregates blaze forth, that is called the self. If we live in a simulated universe, this becomes even clearer. The I that you defend so fiercely may simply be a pattern produced by the system, a useful illusion. Thus, breaking the illusion of self does not mean destroying one's identity. It means seeing through its fiction and returning to a mind without division. As Master Baizhang said, "Let the mind be like wood or stone, making no discriminations." From this clarity, one eats and lives naturally, yet without clinging, without fear. Destroying the illusion of time. Modern physics has begun to echo this ancient intuition. In many high-dimensional models, time is not a fundamental ingredient of the universe. It is not a basic dimension, but a derivative effect, a projection created through observation. Quantum entanglement shows this vividly. Two particles separated by light years change states simultaneously, as if bypassing time itself. Even the core equation of quantum mechanics, the Schrödinger equation, treats past and future symmetrically. Time appears reversible. The arrow of time we feel is not a law of nature. It arises from measurement, entropy, and statistical behavior. In other words, time is not a property of the universe. It is a consequence of how we observe it. Zen expressed the same idea in a single stroke. Time exists only because the mind clings to past, present, and future. Neuroscience agrees. Our sense of time is a narrative generated by the brain, constructed from memory and anticipation. A unifying insight. Thus, Zen's two awakenings, breaking the illusion of self and breaking the illusion of time, are not mystical ideas. They are attempts, from more than 2,000 years ago, to free humans from the limits of a three-dimensional experience, to see through the world we perceive, and to glimpse the higher structure beneath it. Zen's non-duality resonates with quantum superposition. Before measurement, a particle occupies many states at once. Zen's emptiness filled with infinite potential aligns with quantum fields. Vacuum is not empty, but alive with energy fluctuations. These echoes are not coincidences. They are invitations to rethink reality and possibly its design. Deja vu echoes in the system. We return now to the question posed at the beginning. Is the sudden feeling of deja vu, a sense of having lived this moment before, evidence that we might be living in a simulated universe? In The Matrix, deja vu is described as a glitch in the program, a brief flicker that allows a trapped consciousness to notice a break in the system. In real life, many people, myself included, have arrived somewhere for the first time, only to feel an eerie certainty. I've been here before. Science has not yet been able to confirm what deja vu truly is. But if one day it could be proven, it might represent a trace, a residual imprint left by the intervention of a higher-level operator, a modification from outside the system. The film The Matrix offered a deeper insight. Any simulated world, no matter how complex, is ultimately made of electronic information. And our universe, as physics increasingly suggests, may be made of something similar. Not electrons on a motherboard, but quantum information woven into reality. MIT physicist Max Tegmark proposed that the universe is not fundamentally made of matter, but of mathematical structures and information. If so, our cosmos behaves less like a physical object and more like a dynamic information process, a signature characteristic of a simulation. What does this mean for everyday life? What changes when we begin to understand the scientific possibility of a simulated universe and the surprising resonance it finds with ancient Zen philosophy? On one level, understanding more truth about the cosmos naturally clarifies the mind. When the illusion of a rigid self loosens, our daily life becomes calmer, simpler, as ancient Zen masters described. Walking, sitting, eating, sleeping. Every moment is Zen. When you are no longer held hostage by a fictional self, your actions align more easily with reality. But there is a deeper insight. We are not passive characters. We are participants in the system. If the universe is an information structure, whether simulated or not, then consciousness is not a spectator. It is an active variable that influences outcomes. Our choices, our attention, even our thinking patterns may alter which version of reality we experience. This mirrors the observer effect in quantum physics. How you observe changes what becomes real. And it echoes Zen enlightenment, which teaches, when the mind shifts, the world follows. If this is true, then, emotions are not reality. They are parameters in the code. Anger, anxiety, restless desire, these are faulty inputs producing painful outputs. Zen does not ask us to suppress them. Rather, it teaches us not to let illusions write the script of our lives. Attention is the world you choose. What you focus on is what your mind constructs. This is not poetic metaphor, but a conclusion shared by neuroscience, neuroplasticity, and quantum information theory. We were never meant to obey the code. We can overrule it. Once you become aware of the program running inside you, you begin to edit it. Zen calls it awakening, psychology calls it metacognition, science calls it emergent self-organization. We are not merely living in a world, We are running a reality that we help program through awareness and intention. Once you understand this, you no longer need to chase social expectations, compare yourself to others, or be manipulated by emotional impulses. Because you see clearly, each person is running a different version of life. There is no need to outcompete anyone. The task is not to win, but to refine your own code. This is what the ancients meant. Spiritual practice is not escape from the world, but participation with clarity, free from illusion, free from fixation, no longer ruled by conditioning. You are not someone pushed around by the world. You become someone who helps create it. Let's explore a powerful and poetic guide from Zen teacher Ihiro. A chant of practice, a mantra of presence. Thoughts rise, thoughts fall. Cling to nothing at all. Flow with the moment, release it all. Let wisdom be sharp as a blade, and the heart still as a mountain. All phenomena arise from mind. Within, all is already complete. These words may be few, but they hold deep wisdom for those on the path. Let's walk through it, line by line. Thoughts rise, thoughts fall. Thoughts come and go like waves. This is the natural rhythm of the mind. No need to fight, suppress, or chase them. Just notice. Just be aware. Cling to nothing at all. Don't get caught up in the form of a thought, a mood, or an emotion. Let everything pass through, without grasping, without resistance. This echoes a core Zen teaching. Let the mind arise without attachment. Flow with the moment. Respond to what is as it is, with openness, not control. This is strength through softness, meeting the now, not pushing it away. Release it all. Let go of gain and loss, praise and blame, right and wrong, not by rejecting life, but by releasing the clinging. True freedom begins the moment you stop holding on. Let wisdom be sharp as a blade. Your insight must be precise, able to cut through illusion and see the root of things. This sharpness isn't aggression, it's clarity directed inward. And the heart still as a mountain. Let your mind be steady, unshaken by chaos, grounded like a mountain in the storm. This is balance, wisdom in motion, anchored in stillness. All phenomena arise from mind. The outer world is a mirror of the inner world. Everything you experience reflects your own consciousness. Change your mind, and your world changes too. Within, all is already complete, yet not merely whole, but boundless. Your true nature is vast beyond measure, not confined by space, not limited by time, not narrowed by judgment or fear. There is nothing lacking. You don't need to reach outward, only to return inward and remember the infinite depth already present. So here's the path, distilled into 8 lines, a journey through awareness, release, clarity, stillness, and finally return to your original vastness. Repeat it, reflect on it. Let it echo quietly within you, as a guide, a mirror, and an open gate. Now let me recite this poetic guide in its original Chinese, because the sound and rhythm in Chinese carry a unique power. 年息年罗，无所住想，顺其当下，一切解放。直入道风，心如山冈，魔法微信，具足无量。
bedacht, mit Näglein besteckt, schlupf unter die Deck. Morgen früh, wenn Gott will, wirst du wieder geweckt.